Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to indicate interest for a Fidelity IPO. After the demonstration we'll talk about eligibility for Fidelity IPOs, the likelihood you'll receive an allocation of shares, and at the end we'll talk about the flipping policy at Fidelity. I'm logged into my Fidelity account and you find IPOs under this News and Research tab right here. Scroll down and you come to IPOs, you click that. And when you get into this IPO area at Fidelity, it lists all the available IPOs at a given time. Sometimes there's 0, there can be a handful. Right now there's just 2. It gives you some of the basic information of these IPOs. The one I'm interested in here is the Reddit IPO. We have the expected price date, the price range, and the period of time that you're allowed to indicate interest. Today is March 15th. So we're still within this range where we can indicate interest. You can see the offering size. And then over here on the right, there's these 2 links. The first is participate and the second is prospectus. Fidelity is going to ask you to look at this prospectus a couple times to confirm you've looked at it. But by this point in the investing process, most of us who are investing in IPOs have already combed through this SEC filing several times. I'll just click that to show you what it looks like and then we'll come back. Here you can find the prospectuses. Click that link to download it, and you have to agree to some information there. You can view the S1 filing in your browser. I prefer to download it and look at it as a PDF, or just go directly to the SEC website and view it there. I'm back to the main page, and this time we're going to participate in the Reddit IPO. To participate in this IPO, we have several steps we need to go through. First is to select an account. This is a new indication of interest or a bid, so we're going to click that button. But you can come back here and change, delete, and you'll need to come back here to confirm your shares. You can also view the opened indications of interest and bid. So we're going to submit right here, and now it shows you the 2 IPOs that are available. I'm interested in the second one. It gives you a little bit more information about the lead underwriters. Let's click participate. Please confirm the following. This is some basic information for regulators. I'm none of these things, so I'm going to confirm the above statements are true. And then this is where you select the number of shares that you are indicating interest for. Now, I always recommend when you're investing in IPOs that you request more shares than you actually want. And that's because many of these brokers don't get the allocation of shares they hope for. Typically, the investor demand is higher than the shares available. So if you were to request 100 shares, you may only get 10. It really just depends. And especially at Fidelity, IPO access typically goes to their wealthiest customers. So you might request a square lot, like 100 shares, and the wealthier customers may get that, but other people may not. A little later on, we'll talk about the likelihood that you'll receive IPO shares at Fidelity. For most investors, it's actually pretty hard to get access, but we're still going to demonstrate how to do it in this video. I'm going to request a square lot, just 100 shares at $31 to $34 a share. That's going to take me to $3,400. Okay, the next step here is preview the indication of interest. It gives you some important notices here. It shows my account number, it shows the share quantity, and the price. The price may change when this IPO is priced the night before the IPO. If the price is out of the range, brokers are typically going to ask you to confirm that you still want to invest. It may be $35, it could be $30 a share. You need to confirm that you're still interested in investing to proceed if it's out of that range. Now, most brokers are going to ask you to confirm your indication of interest, whether or not it's inside or outside the price range. So you typically need to log in the night of the IPO to confirm your shares. Put that on your calendar, make an alarm for the night before the IPO to log in and just double check everything is okay. Then you can decide if you want to proceed with the allocation request or cancel the order. All right, I'm going to hit submit here. Step 6 of 6 is a confirmation showing your request, the account number, the confirmation number, and an email associated with the account. You usually won't find out if you get an allocation until the morning of the IPO. Log into your account to see if you are allocated shares. Fidelity doesn't always notify customers if they've received shares or not. Once you see shares in your account, they're yours. More often, investors don't receive an allocation. On the left side here, you have a few options. This download a prospectus is again where you can come and get the prospectus. If you don't click that button once during this process, Fidelity is going to gently urge you to do so. It's a formality, but they need you to acknowledge that you've looked at the risks, you've looked at the numbers, and that you are qualified to make an investment decision having looked at the prospectus. Plenty of people don't look at the prospectus, but most IPO investors are going to download the prospectus when it's released to the public on the SEC website. I'm back at the Fidelity IPO calendar. Just want to point out here that you can sign up for IPO alerts from this button right here. You'll get an email whenever they release a new IPO on the platform, so it's helpful if you're not logging into your account on a daily basis. You get an email to let you know, hey, there's one of these available. Take a look if you want. Two more things before I log off. Found this recently. You scroll down here and it has this completed offerings. Here's all the IPOs that happened on the Fidelity platform since the beginning of the year. You can see the lead managers and the stock symbol, but what's really cool is that they actually share with you all the previous years of IPOs. So you get this window to pop up, and here we have all the various years and all the different IPOs that Fidelity has participated in, going back almost 25 years, 30 years. It's interesting to look through this list just to see which IPOs landed on this platform. Certainly not all of them, but a nice group of IPOs have come through Fidelity. I've only had a chance to invest in one IPO on Fidelity. That was the Lending Club IPO. That's because I was a Lending Club investor at the time. They offered IPO shares to some of their customers and some of their investors. One more thing to look at here is the eligibility requirements. Fidelity lays out these eligibility requirements pretty clearly. Customers need to have retail assets of $100,000 to $500,000 to be eligible at all to invest in IPOs. Now, this excludes 401ks and 403bs, so if a lot of your money is through an employer account, you won't qualify. This is for taxable investment accounts, IRAs, Roth IRAs. If you have enough money that exceeds $500,000, you are eligible. I haven't seen a lot of these KKR sponsored IPOs on here. So $100,000, I really don't think you're going to qualify for many IPOs at Fidelity. Even at $500,000, we don't see a lot of customers getting access to IPOs at Fidelity. We have a private Facebook group where we discuss allocations from these different brokers. And we have very few examples of investors who have gotten access to IPOs at Fidelity. So the eligibility is $500,000, but realistically, I don't think people are going to get access to any high demand IPOs unless they have at least $2 to $10 million at a minimum. For the high demand IPOs, Fidelity is not going to get a lot of shares, and their wealthiest customers are going to request shares for those IPOs. That leaves fewer shares for people who are in that $1 million or less range. Again, this is a supply and demand issue. Fidelity is going to give their best customers access, and if there's enough shares left over, they'll give them to everybody else. Some of the lower demand IPOs that have a lot of shares available, you may get a shot to invest in them, but really most investors are looking for those big name, high profile IPOs. And Fidelity, unfortunately, isn't the best brokerage to get access to those IPOs. There's a better chance of getting access at Robinhood, SoFi Invest, and Webull. All three of those offer IPO access. Typically, you have a better chance of getting access to the high profile IPOs at those brokerage. You may not get as many shares, but at least you can participate. Fidelity may be better for the lower profile IPOs that have a lot of shares available and not so much demand. The last thing we're going to look at is the flipping policy at Fidelity. I'm over at the FAQs now, and you can get a little more information about eligibility. There's also this $2,000 cash requirement for requesting shares here. I didn't mention that earlier. That's important. So head over to the FAQs if you have questions that I haven't answered here, but I want to point out this one: when can I sell my shares? If you participate in a Fidelity IPO, you can sell your shares immediately. However, they're going to restrict your future access to IPOs. So if you sell within the first 15 calendar days of the IPO, Fidelity will label you a flipper. The first time you do this, you'll be prevented from investing in future IPOs for 180 days. The second time you do it, it's 365 days. And the third time, you're going to lose permanent access to IPO investing at Fidelity. Fidelity sort of set the standard for this flipping policy. Other platforms have a very similar policy. The idea with these flipping policies, Fidelity or these other brokerages can go to the underwriters and say, hey, our customers are going to be discouraged from selling these shares either by restricting further access or putting a fee on top of the sale. Fidelity doesn't charge a fee, and Robinhood doesn't either, but SoFi does. So you need to understand the flipping policy before you jump into one of these IPOs, especially if you want to invest in future IPOs on the platform. That's all for this video. If you like what you saw here, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I run the personal finance and investing blog retirebeforedad.com, where I read about DIY investing for financial independence. Sign up for my free email newsletter and get access to a free download called 7 Bedrock ETFs for DIY investors. If you're looking for more IPO content, check out my website, accessipos.com, where I read about retail venture capital and upcoming IPOs. Subscribe to my monthly newsletter to preview upcoming deals. Thanks for watching.